Hey everybody, welcome back to the Apex Legends report. Oh wait, no, we're still the Overwatch League report. I just wanted to make a joke because every Overwatch channel I follow has switched their focus this week to Apex Legends, which I get. It's a new hero shooter. It's the new shiny toy. But we're still talking about the Overwatch League. Ben, how are you tonight?
Good, here to talk about this dead game.
Hey, well, it's alive to us, but maybe to the rest of
Yeah.
to the world, it's not alive. Ben, we're going to be talking about the LA Valiant, and as we talked about in the pre-show, we're probably not going to break it down player by player because this team brought back all but one player, and that one player is Kuki. He is a South Korean former Leon, the Seoul Dynasty. He's a tank, and he means Winston, Reinhardt, and Orisa. Ben, why'd they add him to the team?
Well, they dropped their old backup main tank player, so just in case Fate sticks his hand in the blender or something, I think that it's good for them to have a backup. I think that it's probably unlikely that he sees start time over Fate.
Right.
Because Fate is really crazy, and like even on the Dynasty, Cookie didn't see much start time.
Right.
Like the Dynasty's main tank slot was like so messy that they even had like Ru Hong coming in every once in a while. So when you're like not doing good enough to be able to start in a team that like has such a messy main tank position, it's probably not likely that he's going to see start time over Fate. So. Right. It's good that they have a backup main tank just in case, but
the way I kind of see it is like the tank, very important, especially the main tank, incredibly important position. I don't know if it's as important as a quarterback, but let's just roll with the metaphor that the tank is quarterback. So you're only as good as your backup quarterback.
Sure.
You're only as good as your backup tank, because if your start tank somehow gets injured, it's a computer game, so very unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, but like, there are family things that can happen. You can hurt yourself outside of the game, obviously. Right. You can get sick, right?
True.
So.
But let's hope that doesn't happen. So, talking a little bit about the coaching staff, we have Moon as the head coach, Stoop as the assistant coach. Anything you want to touch on there?
Both returning. They have two new assistant coaches coming on, Dong Su and then Packing Pen, who comes from Angry Titans. So... pretty strong coaching staff. I don't really think that the coaching staff was the issue with why they kind of fell apart in the semifinals. I think it's fine. Right. Basically, at this point, we have LA Valiant from season 1, but without Soon. Like that's the only important watermark on the team that's different.
And so those players who have stayed are Agility's a Canadian DPS who mains Genji, the Space, the US flex player who mains Diva, Roadhard, and Zarya. Fate, the South Korean tank, as we were just saying, who mains Winston, Reinhardt, and Wrecking Ball. Kareev. How could I forget? We only went over it 5 fucking times. But I did forget. He is a South Korean player. He plays support, main Zenyatta, Mercy, Ana, Widowmaker, Soldier 76. Bunny is South Korean DPS player, mains Tracer, Widowmaker, and McCree. Custa, he is an Australian support, mains Mercy, Mora, and Lucio. KSF, a US DPS player who mains Genji and McCree. And Easy Hockey, who is a South Korean support player, mains Zenyatta and Ana. This team was close last year. They made it to the semifinals. They were one step away. Ben, tell me a little bit about their season last year and how it ended.
Their season last year was actually really strong. They had a little bit of a blip in stage 2, but not super poor. They were very consistent all the way through. They ended up winning the stage 4 playoffs. And they lost to the London Spitfire in the semifinals, who went on to win the whole thing. So
yeah, there's really no shame in losing to that team, especially the way they were playing at the end of the season. What do you think they can do to potentially improve their placement from last season? And obviously, 4th overall once you factor in records, that's not bad at all. They're right there. They're knocking on the door. What can they do to take the next step?
I think they're already doing what they need to do. I think that they just have to continue putting in the work that they're doing. I think that they are actually favored, in my opinion, with the GOATS meta theoretically sticking around. You have Kareev, who is listed as DPS, but has mostly been playing flex support on Zenyatta. And I think that all of their main players, their starting players, are very strong in their role. There's not really like a weak spot on this team. Losing soon is a bit of an issue. They're probably going to have like Agility's Bunny be the 1 and 2 DPS. But if Goats is sticking around, like not having like as high tier DPS as you would like isn't a big deal, right? So I think that they're one of the teams that could be favored for that reason in Stage 1. I think that obviously the Spitfire turned it on like crazy at the end in the playoffs. The Spitfire sort of got lucky with their set in against the Gladiators, as we already talked about.
Right.
But from then on, they like totally destroyed the Valiant and they totally destroyed the Fusion. So like you mentioned, losing to them in that position that they were in, where they were at the top of their game, the meta was just like dovetailing perfectly with what the Spitfire was good at. That's not really, you can't really blame them for that, right? So I think I think the Valiant are in a good spot to be a potential top tier team yet again. Most of the other teams that would be competitive with them haven't made a ton of moves. We're going to talk about the XL, who have made some slight moves, but I think for the most part, what you're going to see with the Valiant is exactly what you saw last season. They're going to be a top-tier team. They're going to be playoff contenders. And even without Soon, I think they have the star power they need to actually push through and maybe actually win this time. So...
Alrighty. So in that case, is there any particular storyline other than the departure of Soon that you'd like to touch on?
No, I mean it's going to be really interesting. I don't know when they play the Paris Eternal first. I don't think they play them at all in Stage 1. So that's going to be a really interesting storyline to follow. Is Soon coming back and playing against his old team?
Right. Well, I'll be breaking out the popcorn, waiting to see that one.
Oh yeah. I think other than that, it's just going to be whether if there's like a DPS shift in the meta, whether Bunny or KSF can kind of step up and fill that second DPS role, as Agilities is like definitely their number 1 DPS at this point. Whether they have to pick up another DPS player to kind of fill that role. We have a couple of teams who are in the same position where they kind of would like another DPS. We just talked about one in the Boston Uprising who could use another DPS player. So there is going to be competition in the market. I know that we had just talked about the Gladiators picking up Decay, and the Valiant were looking hard to try and pick up Decay, but the price tag was too steep. So they're definitely they're definitely looking for somebody to fill that role, somebody who is going to step up and be another star DPS player to replace Soon. So I think that's really going to be the main storyline: is can they adjust to the current meta, and can they find somebody to fill that high tier DPS position that they lost? Another thing we can talk about is the show match, the show match that they had against the XL in December, I think. And the reason I use the air quotes is because basically half of the team just like wasn't available for the show match. So they had actually 2 XL players playing on their team.
Right. So it was more just
XL.
like a friendly
scrimmage,
yeah.
And I believe they did win. I think it was a best of 5. I think they played 5 maps and they won 4-1. But like they won 4-1. I think they had Pine and Arc, and like Pine and Arc are both fantastic players. So like it wasn't really like a great demonstration
Right.
of their ability to perform at the like in this meta right now
Right.
as a team, because they weren't a full team. Literally only two thirds of the team was actually Valiant players. So it's hard to actually take that and make any kind of evaluation off of it. But yeah, I'm excited to see the Valiant perform again. Like I mentioned, they're very consistent, so I don't see any situation where the Valiant are not at the playoffs at the end.
Awesome. Great stuff, as always, Ben. So, for Wicked Everything, for Ben and Brian, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel, of course, where you're most likely watching this, youtube.com/wickedeverything. Our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/wickedeverything. Follow us on Instagram at wickedeverything. Follow us on Twitter at WGEverything. And make sure you check out our blog at www.wickedeverything.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.